Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Remette RT Leopard. It's actually got a much longer name, almost a comically long name. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm going to call it the Leopard so that I don't have to say the entire name every single time. This is a gravity knife, and it's pretty cool how it operates. You push that switch forward, it opens up those little titanium wings, and it drops. If it sounds familiar, it's because Remette also has the Swordfish, which is longer and operates the same way. This is really cool. It's one of my favorite knives of 2024. Both this and the larger Swordfish are knives that are available. I'll link them down in the description so you guys can check them out if you want to. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to Remette for supplying this knife for review. But let's go ahead and real quick do some size comparisons. First up, why don't we actually put it up against the Swordfish, and then I'll also measure it. That's what I usually do first. So let's put it up against the Swordfish, you guys can see. So the Swordfish, the bigger guy, coming in at about 7.75 inches overall with a 3 1/8 inch blade, and your cutting edge coming in about 3 inches. The Leopard is smaller and more compact, coming in at 6.75, maybe 6.8 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at about 2.85 inches, and your cutting edge is coming in at about 2.75 inches. How about some size comparisons up against some other common knives? Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. Up against the 8010 and the 8020.5. You can see here it's a pretty compact knife. It doesn't feel incredibly small. I mean, the frame, the titanium frame definitely makes it feel a little bigger and more robust than it actually is, but the overall size of the object is definitely not large. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Once again, it's on the smaller side, but your cutting edge is actually identical to the Spyderco Para 3. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? This is a gravity knife. No matter who you are or how you try to twist the definition of that, that is what this is. Factually, legally, this is what this is. So, if you live in an area, and it's up to you to check your local laws, if you live in an area where gravity knives are illegal, don't buy this, because this will get you in trouble. I live in Kansas. They don't really care. As long as the blade does not fire out the end of the handle, they don't really care what we carry here, so that's fine. That's how it should be everywhere, right? But I'm not saying the laws in your area are fair if they prohibit you from carrying stuff like this, but they are in place, so you need to check and make sure before you buy something like this. So anyways, you just push the switch forward. It's very easy to do. The wings open up. And then in a very satisfying and unique way, the knife relies on gravity to deploy. And that's pretty cool. I like it. I will mention or note here that the amount of tension trying to push the spring backwards is a little bit more than the Swordfish. This is a little easier. And it makes me feel like what's holding those titanium wings in place underneath the blade, because that's what locks it out, right? You can see these little spaces right here. There's a little slot cut out to accommodate for the edge there so it doesn't drag. But you can see there, they slide underneath those little spots on either side of the blade. Is this like an ultra durable locking system that will allow the blade to stay locked out no matter what you're using it for? Probably not, but if you guys watched the unboxing of this guy, I did demonstrate actually holding the knife like this, or holding the knife on top of the wings and jamming it into a fence, and it was fine. So I think as long as you're just holding it, it should be okay. But it's definitely not, you know, we're not talking like triad lock level strength here, right? You still need to be cognizant and using the knife in, whoops, got my shoe on my chair there. You still need to be using the knife in a responsible and appropriate way. But yeah, I think there's a substantial enough material there to keep the blade locked out. And it doesn't seem to be catching accidentally nearly as much as the Swordfish, right? So as long as you wait until the blade is fully deployed to release that switch, then they should slide into their position. What I'm saying is, if you release this prematurely, it does this. Now it's dragging on the spine of the blade, and you have to pull it all the way out into the open position. There's definitely more tension there. It's actually a lot harder to do versus the other one. But that's what happens there. It drags on the spine. The edge does not drag on the frame or any part of the frame at all. So that's nice. And it feels good. The downside to knives like this is that you kind of have to use, you can let it go and like you do little fancy tricks like that, but it doesn't always lock out in the open position. Really, the most reliable way to get this to deploy is to turn it upside down and then deploy it. So it's a totally different experience than deploying a pocket knife blade or a switchblade or an OTF, right? Something like this where it just fires directly out the front. It's a totally different experience, and some people are going to enjoy it and find it convenient, and other people are not, right? So it just depends on what type of person you are. Unfortunately, a lot of times you have to buy something like this before you get a chance to experience it. It's not like you got this stuff floating around at Walmart where you can pick it up and demo it. So some people will love it and some people won't. Let's do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's actually a little thicker, right? Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is where this type of object shines. It's honestly really easy to carry. It's just kind of like a heavier, thicker. I always say lighter, and I have no experience carrying a lighter, but that's what it feels like. It feels like, you're just carrying like a long, thick rectangle. It actually is pretty easy to carry, pretty convenient, pretty compact. It is fairly heavy though, considering there's a substantial amount of, for the size of object, like the entire case is made out of titanium. It's not an integral. It's 2 pieces of titanium with a really thick and heavy-duty backspacer on both. It's got a front spacer and a backspacer, which is something we don't normally see. But yeah, I'm really surprised that they don't do a 2-piece shell, kind of like an OTF. It's like here. See how we've got on the Ultratech, where it's 2 pieces with just 1 seam? They do 4 individual pieces. No, I'm sorry. It's 3 individual pieces of titanium with this thing wrapping all the way around. So yeah. But anyways, the materials here are titanium, and then you have an M390 blade, which, how is it hardened? Unfortunately, 59 to 61. Most likely the 59 down at the bottom end is for the coated versions, and then the uncoated versions will likely be at the top end. I'll say this again, same thing I say to every company that's hitting this range. It doesn't matter if it's coated or uncoated, the very lowest HRC that the general community, and I'm talking about the buying audience for your products, people like to see M390, 20CV, and 204P hitting no lower than 60, generally speaking, with a, top end at 62, right? 60 to 62. That's what people like to see it at. But this seems to be the industry standard, and it's not a terrible heat treat. It's just 1 point lower on the bottom end than what we typically like to see. So weight. How does this little guy stack up in terms of weight versus other things that are about the same size? 3.9 ounces is not heavy, right? Heavier than some people might like for this size of object, but it's not heavy. It doesn't feel heavy in the pocket. It definitely is not super well balanced. You can see the balance point is way back here, so you're going to notice that a lot of weight on the frame, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Are these T8? Gosh darn it. Remette T8. T8 and up, please. That would be so much better. But we have 1, 2, 3. Are these also T6 for the pocket clip? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total screws holding everything together if you need to get inside. So not bad. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness, and then we will get into the meat and potatoes of this review here real quick. Blade stock thickness, I'm going to say that's probably 115 to 125. Yeah. 115 thousandths roughly. So there you go. Time to move into the meat and potatoes. So something I found a little bit disappointing with this one, and confusing honestly, is with the RT Swordfish, this is all symmetrical. The locking points are also symmetrical, and where they, attach or interact with the blade, it's also symmetrical. So, initially with this knife in the unboxing, I was like, why didn't they put a clip on the other side? Like, it's so dumb. It's because the blade could be taken out and flipped over. So you could operate this, right, as a lefty if you wanted to. Or, carry it, exactly the same way as a left-handed person if you think about it, right? right-handed person, pull it out. We've got the edge down. You flip the blade over, right, so that the edge is now this way. And now you're carrying it exactly the same way as a left-handed person as you would a right-handed person. Cool. That's a nice feature. A little bit complicated to do. Not the easiest thing to do. Take this thing apart and flip it over. They just didn't do that here. We have a locking point that's higher on one side than the other, right? And you can see it on the blade. So you flip the blade around and it doesn't work. So do they make a left-handed version of this knife? I didn't see one, right? So if you're going to do that, why not make the mounting position on the other side as well so that left-handed people could carry it the way that they wanted to, even if the switch is on the wrong side? If you're going to do it like this, you should have found a way to put the switch on the spine. That way it's just, and then make the pocket clip like mountable on either side, right? I don't know why they didn't just make a mini swordfish. Why did we do a totally different thing? The other thing that was cool about the swordfish, as ugly as this is, was the little inlays that could be swapped out, right? That idea I thought was really neat, and they could have expanded on that. Currently, they have melted American flag, toxic goo, carbon fiber, and maybe one other thing. Why? I mean, why didn't you guys do like aluminum or titanium inserts with different texture patterns and different anodization, and then sell them separately so that people can swap these things out and add a little bit of flair? Continuing that exact same thing with this guy, especially with the, blades that could be flip-flopped. Also, the fact that they all lock up the same, I think it would have been really cool to expand on the whole modular deal and sell individual blades with different blade shapes. I mean, they should all lock up essentially the same way. So you should be able to switch out, right? Like your, whatever you want to call this, your clip point or your drop point blade or your modified whatever blade to a tanto blade to a double-edged blade. I don't know why they never did a double-edged blade. It's just a weird, like this type of object has so much potential, especially how they set it up with the inlays. It's got so much potential to be cool. And instead they're like, no, we're going to make this individual, this one thing. We're going to do away with the inlays. Left-handed people, we're just going to forget about them. And you can't, you definitely can't like flip-flop the blade over. This is weird, right? So specifically they're like, we're specifically going to market to people who want a gravity knife with none of the benefits of the first one outside of it just being a gravity knife. And we're just going to make it smaller. Like, for people who want it slightly small. I just feel like this knife had a lot of good ideas and they just abandoned them. Weird, right? Maybe they plan for this to be its own thing, right? Maybe they thought, oh, too many people are complaining about the inlays. I don't know. Maybe everybody else didn't like that. I thought it was really neat. I do like this 3D texture pattern they've got going on here. And truthfully, the fit and finish on this guy just feels really, really good. They also have that, I think what they call the pearlescent finish on the blade, which is really nice. If you don't hold down the wings, there's a little bit of movement, which is typical of all. I mean, it doesn't feel any different than a typical OTF. While you are using it, assuming you would be holding it something like this, right? Or you're probably not going to do this because you'd push the button up, and which would release. You wouldn't want to do that, right? Which is kind of a bummer. It's kind of hard to hold it like this because if you push up, you could disengage the blade. So if you're holding it like this, though, is there movement? Almost zero. That really holds the blade in place. So fit and finish, really, really good. It says Remette on one side, and it says M390 on the other, and that's it. It does look good. Like, all the titanium looks good, all the milling, everything. It definitely looks like a futuristic, like, cool object. It also feels like a very, very premium object. If you like being the guy at the office who shows off the cool pocket knife, right, assuming it's legal and you're allowed to carry pocket knives at the office, this is the type of thing that people go ooh and ah over, like people, all of my local friends, whenever I'm carrying one of these weird knives that just doesn't deploy in a super orthodox way, considering what people are used to seeing in terms of modern pocket knives, it's always a talking point. People pass it around, and it's fun. Right? I get a little bit of enjoyment out of that, seeing everybody try and manipulate it and just be kind of awed by it. It's fun, and this definitely has that. It's absolutely one of those objects. It has a lanyard hole, whoop-de-doo. The pocket clip is okay. It's a little stubby, and it gets caught. It's a little pinchy, but overall, it's pretty good. And the textured surface on the titanium is not enough to really create much of an issue. Overall, this was an easy object to carry, and it operated exactly the way that I assumed that it would, with the blade only catching a couple of times where I wasn't, see, like right there. Oh no, it did. I'm sorry. I was mistaken. It did lock out. A couple of times I just didn't let it deploy all the way, or I wasn't holding the thing completely upside down, and it would get caught about right here, and then I would go to cut something, and I'd feel the blade go in like that. I'd be like, oh, it's not locked out, and then I would open it up. Occasionally you're going to bump into that, but you're going to adapt to it. So the more you use the thing, if you're dedicated to EDCing it, the less often that will happen. I've already kind of talked about lockout here. These are pieces of titanium that are locking the blade out, and I know that titanium work hardens over time, and this actually, I assume because of the angles, that as the titanium galls and work hardens and wears in, that these wings will actually wear in further and further and further. So it would be optimistic to assume that it will continue to lock up better. I wonder if it would be a good idea to add steel plates under there so you have a steel on steel interaction. Or does that actually make it worse in this situation? I don't know. I'm used to seeing steel lock bar inserts on titanium frame locks. This is some sort of spring wing gravity thing. So I don't know. Perhaps it's actually better to leave it the way that it is. This one doesn't seem to be acting any different, or it doesn't seem to be locking up any, less solid. So I don't know. Only time will tell, yeah, really it's the standalone release of this and not continuing on with this, which I think is a better design, the symmetry of it, and not having more blades and there's a lot of things that just should have been here, more accommodating to more people, more fun to like switch. I mean, I kind of like the idea of a knife that is cool from the start, but like has options down the road if you want to switch things. Like, let's say you get tired of the blade and you want a new blade, you don't want to buy a whole new knife. I think it'd be cool to offer the blades. Not every pocket knife can do that. You can't, because of the way that they lock up. A lot of people would say, well, why can't it be that way with all pocket knives? Because of the locking system, you can't, reliably sell individual blades and just assume everything's going to continue to lock up correctly. With these, though, the way that they lock up, it should be okay, because it kind of slides into place, and then the things slide in wherever, whatever total amount of contact that they can get, and then they slide into geometries just should be essentially the same between all of them. So being able to buy a new blade, being able to buy new inlay, flip the blade over and make it lefty friendly, like that was cool. I just don't understand why they didn't continue on doing this. Here's the other thing, and the main thing that bothers me, the price tag. $255. Wow, that's a lot. That's more than the RT Swordfish, isn't it? Come to find out, the RT Swordfish is wildly more expensive than when I first handled it, which was less than a year ago. The markup that we've seen, unless I am severely mistaken, unless my memory is very, very wrong, there has been some pretty serious price increases on the RT Swordfish since it released. The amount of money that it has increased by, again, unless I'm mistaken, is the same as knives, like price increases that we've seen from some companies over multiple years. Remette, why are we doing this? What's going on here? I don't like to see that. I don't like to see, this is a popular model, let's just slowly increase the price a little bit here and there. Don't do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the price is only increased by, like $20, but it seems like the price has gone up by $30 or $40. Maybe I'm wrong, but people will definitely notice that, and it's not the best look, The truth be told, guys, I have affiliate links for Remette in the description. So if you go down there and you buy one of these things, I get a commission. With the price increasing, my commission is larger because it's a percentage. So as somebody who's in that spot who benefits from the price going up, I want to make sure you guys understand my position on this. I don't like to see price increases for no reason, for absolutely no reason. Maybe they're preparing for a forced price increase in 2025? I don't know, but I'd like that to just not happen unless it has to, you know. I don't like the sneaky, this nickel and diming of the price tag. I don't really like that. It seems like they also made room for this to be justified at $255, when in reality, this one probably should have been around $200. So don't love the price tag, don't love the changes. It's a really cool object, and I think some people are going to be happy with it. And let me be clear, it is a very high quality object, and it's neat, and it's different, right? It's the same idea as the swordfish, but versus other knives on the market, it is different. It's cool. There's a lot of like why surrounding it. So yeah, it's neat. I think the price is too high. The pricing thing really bothers me. But maybe I'm wrong. You guys tell me what you remember the base price of the swordfish being. I can always go back to my unboxing and look at it, but I am just almost completely and totally certain that it has bumped up since then. But I don't know. Maybe it's less than I thought. It just that was slightly irritating to me. So price a little high on this guy, but it's still a cool object. That's going to be it from me today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on the Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.